Oh man, well I haven't done a review in a while, and a rant at the same time. Anyway, never thought I'd see the day where I would go on YouTube and doing a rant on a game on one of my favorite video game franchises. But considering I just finished this game, and it took me a good amount of time to finish this, because, well, let's just say it up front. This game fucking sucks. It doesn't just suck ass. It doesn't suck balls. It's the worst damn Zelda game ever made. I know some of you Zelda fanboys are putting time on your fucking keyboards and freaking shut the fuck up, all of you. Shut up. I have never thought I would see the day when I would go do a rant or hate a game as much as I do. There you have Skyward shit. Perhaps the worst Zelda game that's ever come out in this franchise, and one of the most disappointing games that have come out this generation. And why am I doing a rant on this now? It's 2013. People have already ranted on this game already. Why are you doing it now? Well, because for me, I don't like ranting on a game unless I've finished it completely. And I've completed Skyward Sword not that long ago. The day I'm recording this video, I've completed it. So, I think I'm more than qualified to rant on this game. And before we go on to the main event, before you Zelda fans go send me hate mail over this, every game series has at least one game that's shit. Freaking Mega Man in franchise has Mega Man X7. The Tales of series has Dawn of a New World. Final Fantasy has freaking Final Fantasy 13. Freaking, I could keep going on, but let's get to the main event. Before we go to the actual review, I'm going to talk about my personal history with the Zelda franchise. Back in 1998, the masterpiece that known as Ocarina of Time was released. And for many people, like myself, this was the first Zelda game ever made. And many people like myself were blown away by it. And, you know, the kick-ass graphics, keep me in mind, people, it doesn't look like that now, but it did when we played it then. It was like no other game we played before. And, to be honest, it was amazing. Ocarina of Time, every time I go back to it, I love it. It's one of those Zelda games, and those games in general, that have stood up to the test of time. It was good when it came out, and it's good now. Even the 3DS version, despite me doing a rant about that a few years ago, it's still a good game. I just could not imagine this franchise snooping this fucking low. I never thought it would do that. Yes, many people love to rag on Twilight Princess for its freaking easy difficulty, useless items, but at least Twilight Princess is still a good game. The controls are fluent, even in the Wii version. Even though the GameCube version is the real version of Twilight Princess, it's still better than Skyward Sword. I can go on more detail about my history of Zelda, but it'd be too long of a video. I'm just going to give a brief history. Now let's go on to the actual game itself. Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword. Oh my god. Where can I begin? Back when this game was announced, I was hyped for it. Finally, a Zelda game on the Wii. This is awesome. A true Zelda game. Not a freaking GameCube game that's ported to the freaking Wii that wasn't designed for motion controls. A Zelda game designed from the ground up with motion controls. Little did I realize that my dream Zelda game on the Wii would be shattered one day, and that's when Skyward Sword came out. Skyward Sword is one of those games that took me 2 years almost to complete. Why did it take that long? Well, between the disappointing dungeons, the crappy motion controls, And the freaking backtracking has turned me off from this game time and time again. And the final boss didn't do me any favors either. Personally, I didn't feel any satisfaction beating the final boss of Skyward Sword. And don't get me going freaking how confusing the ending is. Like, I know recently Hyrule Historia confirmed 3 timelines, but what about this game? The ending, it's possible that there could have been a time split in this game too. How do we know the Downfall timeline was actually in the timeline where Skyward Sword Link went, when he went back to his time, and the reason Link got defeated the events of Ocarina of Time in that timeline is because of Demise's curse. That's something no one seems to be thinking about there. But we'll save that theory for another video. Anyway, I'm getting a hold of myself. I still haven't gotten to the flaws of this game, but like any other review and rant, this is not scripted that I do. So, whether you guys freaking like or don't like this style, go fuck yourself. This is how I've always done my videos, and I don't intend to change that. Skyward Sword, basically, like any game, you have to pick it apart piece by piece. And to rip this game a new asshole, we start from the beginning. Nintendo announced this game to be an origin story of the entire Zelda franchise, on how all the Zelda games are connected. To be honest, Skyward Sword doesn't really do a good job at it as an origin story. Yeah, all the story does of Skyward Sword is create more questions than answers. But let's be realistic. Do any of us play Zelda games for a plot? No, we play it for the awesome level design, freaking the adventure of the game, and actually the fantasy. Skyward Sword is everything that freaking everyone loves about Zelda. Flushes it down the toilet and freaking does everything that a Zelda game should not be. And it's really hard to bring up the good points of Skyward Sword because there's so many bad points. Is there that make it so? Do these good points even matter? It's like freaking. It's like having freaking a bunch of food. Let's say McDonald's, for example. Some of the food may be good at McDonald's, but most of the food is shit. So does that make McDonald's a good fast food restaurant? Fuck no. And that's what Skyward Sword is. Freaking. Yeah, it's mostly bad stuff and barely anything good. So, really, it's not really that good of a game. It isn't. Skyward Sword is one of those games that not many people are going to remember fondly. Like, for instance, let's just take the Zelda games that many people like to talk about. A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Oracle Seasons and Ages, Link's Awakening, and Minish to Cap. Freaking, those games will, 20 years from now, will still be looked fondly on people. When Ocarina is like 30 years old, do you think people are gonna freaking want to play Skyward Sword? Freaking, I could take my copy of Skyward Sword 20 years from now when I have kids of my own, and it's like, hey Dad, what is Skyward Sword? Hey, oh wait, son, don't touch that. That's a shitty Zelda game. Play the classics like Ocarina and Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Oracle Seasons and Ages, even the original Zelda. It's like, yes, people, I'm gonna say this is the worst fucking Zelda game ever made. Everything that Zelda should be isn't in here. The adventure, the mystery, the freaking clever level design, the fluent freaking combat, which Zelda isn't known for that, but the combat, let's just take of Twilight Princess is way smoother than Skyward Sword's shitty motion controls wig fest. You learned new moves in Skyward Sword when you actually fought your ancestor who taught you everything he knew in Twilight Princess. It was a side quest throughout the game, and actually developed the freaking character Link. Well, Link is you, but you guys get the point. Skyward Sword, what does anything of that do? It doesn't do anything. It's amazing. Not to mention, I haven't even gotten to the worst parts of this game yet. The freaking level design. It's uninspired. Think of Skyward Sword's levels. I don't remember them fondly. Like the dungeons, you don't spend that much time in them compared to other Zelda games. Not to say that freaking other Zelda games don't have short dungeons. This one, they're so short, you could go through most of the dungeons in like 30 or 50 minutes. That's ridiculous. Even if you're a completionist, you can complete those dungeons really fast. And Skyward Sword has 7 dungeons compared to other Zelda games. Yes, Wind Waker has less than that, but let's take Wind Waker, for example. Its final dungeon versus Skyward Sword's final dungeon. Skyward Sword's final dungeon is nothing but rehash shit from other dungeons in the game. Nintendo cut corners for Skyward Sword every chance they fucking got. It's hard to believe Sakura Miyamoto would put out something that this half-ass. 5 years, and this is the best you could put out with? Don't pull that card. Just because you delay a game means it's going to be better than a game that freaking took a far less time to develop. Fucking Twilight Princess freaking was announced in 2004. And you know how many years that took to make? 2. Skyward Sword took 5. How is it that a game that came out 6 years ago was better, had a less development time, a lower budget, look and play better than its successor that came out 5 years later? Explain that to me, people. Enlighten me. Explain how Twilight Princess has better controls, better graphics, better art direction, better level design, better music than its successor, Skyward Sword, which the graphics are crap, and even for a Wii game, I'm not a graphic quality, but damn! The art style, I hate the art style. It's not because it's colorful, it's because you take Twilight Princess's gritty art style, mash it with Wind Waker's colorful art style, mash it together, and you just have terrible art style. If you were going to use an art style, they should have used one or the other, not both. Because it just clashes. It just doesn't look that good. And Skyward Sword, where the hell did their budget go? It's like they spend more money on the motion controls than producing a quality product. This is one of the occurrences, even if Skyward Sword is the worst Zelda game, it would have at least been a lot bearable if they gave it the option for a fucking gamepad. Come on, it's not rocket science, people. A lot of people hate motion controls like myself. It would have been nice if they gave us the option to actually use it. To use a traditional controller. That way Skyward Sword wouldn't be one of your most hated freaking Zelda games. Freaking, not that no one hated a Nintendo game as much since fucking Metroid Another M. Don't get me started on that piece of crap. Not only does Skyward Sword fail in every freaking way of Zelda's, then you have freaking the collectathon shit. You want to upgrade your equipment? You have to freaking go around the world map, kill stuff, freaking go back, upgrade your shit, and repeat. Some people may think this is a good concept, but this isn't Monster Rancher. This isn't freaking Skyrim or all that other shit. It's Zelda. If they were to incorporate this crap, why didn't they do this in a larger game? Twilight Princess, for example. That game is larger than any Zelda game that's out today. It actually feels like you're in a world. It actually feels like the land is huge and dangerous. If the enemy actually attacked you, but let's digress. Half the difficulty of Skyward Sword is not the freaking enemies, it's the damn motion control plus. How is it that a game that came out years before it, Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, that game came out in 2007, didn't use motion plus, and the motion controls are fluent, they're responsive. I've never had any issues with them. And freaking, while Skyward Sword, it's the biggest struggle in that game is the controls themselves. That's your biggest enemy. Overcoming the crappy controls of Skyward Sword is freaking as much of an achievement as fucking kicking a freaking baby. It's not even impressive. Skyward Sword's controls are the biggest enemy in this freaking game, and you're never gonna freaking want to fucking play this game likely again after you fucking beat it. The freaking dungeons are a mixed bag. The first dungeon, shit. The second dungeon's alright. The third dungeon's, tedious. The fourth dungeon's freaking what? The fucking fifth dungeon is why? And the sixth dungeon is another fire-themed dungeon. Really, Nintendo? 2 fire dungeons in one Zelda game? I thought you weren't gonna do that. A final dungeon that's freaking not even a dungeon at all. It's just a puzzle. If you can complete in freaking 20 minutes, less than that if you're fast. Freaking. And don't get me started on the amount of backtracking. Skyward Sword, you spend 70% of the time backtracking more than you actually freaking go to new areas. It's pitiful that in 10 hours playing this game, I've already seen the whole game. Are you serious? Are you fucking kidding? So I play like I freaking pretty much after the second dungeon of Twilight Princess. You're telling me that is the extent of Skyward Sword, about as large as the first quarter of freaking Twilight Princess. You're telling me it's smaller than that? What? This is my big pet peeve. I hate backtracking. I'm pretty sure most people do. It's not like Devil May Cry 4 may have a lot of backtracking, but at least in that game, it's you get to control a different character, and the backtracking's not freaking long like Skyward Sword is. To get to the final dungeon, it takes you 3 or 4 fucking hours. It's far worse than freaking any of Wind Waker's freaking that Triforce quest that people hate so much, and Wind Waker doesn't compare to that shit. And the items, don't get me started on those. They're freaking like, what were Nintendo thinking? Okay, you wait at the end of the game, you get the hero's bow. Why? Why not get it at the 4th or 3rd dungeon? Why get it at the freaking 5th? And that's your last item you get. You don't get any new items after that. You just get upgraded version of the same item that you already have in 2 dungeons. Why? Why does this game suck so bad? Why did we wait 5 years just to have the worst Zelda game in the franchise? What a way to celebrate its fucking 25th anniversary. Fucking have a Zelda game that's so shitty that freaking most of the fan base wants nothing to do with it. You don't freaking why Nintendo's been releasing freaking Oracle Season Ages on the eShop and freaking Link Between Two Worlds and fucking Wind Waker HD to make everyone forget about this piece of shit. This is one Zelda game that most people are not going to remember. It's been one of those games that no one's going to touch. Zelda 2 is better than this, and that's saying something. And Zelda 2 wasn't that bad. Zelda 2 at least innovated games in general. At least Zelda 2 is unique. Skyward Sword isn't. It isn't unique. There's a lot of stuff that's been taken from other games and been done a lot better. Skyward Sword is not one of the best Wii games. In fact, no wonder Nintendo didn't release freaking the Operation Rainfall games the year Skyward Sword's release. You think if people played Skyward Sword and like, God, this game sucks. Wait, Xenoblade Chronicles, Lost Story, Pandora's Tower, those games are awesome. Those games I hear are better than this. That's why I didn't release them. So you're telling me the worst Zelda game, you didn't want any competition for perhaps one of the best RPGs on the Wii, and freaking a unique experience, Pandora's Tower. We had to wait almost 2 years because they didn't want to compete with this shit of a game. That's right, people. We had to wait almost 2 years for freaking Pandora's Tower and freaking Xenoblade, just so Skyward Sword wouldn't have any competition. The very fact that frickin' Game Informer gave this game a fucking perfect score. A lot of magazines did. And everyone, when the game first came out, if you criticize one musical thing about it, you're considered a troll. You know what? Fuck you. So we're trolls for actually pointing out things that are actually wrong with the game. These are legit. Most Zelda fans are behind me on this one. If you like Skyward Sword, that's fine. All power to you if you like this game. But me, I'm not supporting fricking this game. I hate it. It's in my Wii collection, and it was just an excuse so gamers could go fork out who knows how much money for the Wii Motion Plus and use it for one fucking game. Nintendo, have you considered the thought that if you spent less time on perfecting the motion controls and more time on making more interesting levels, more interesting items, and far less backtracking, you could have had what was stood out as one of the best games of this generation. You could have, had you not been so focused on motion controls. Everything you do revolves shitty motion controls. Don't get Twilight Princess freaking is better than this in terms of motion controls. They're more responsive, even though there isn't much you do with the motion controls. At least they're responsive. At least it isn't an unresponsive mess. At least you don't have to be precise when you're doing a basic function like the stabbing move that you've been able to do since Ocarina of Time. And one thing I don't understand why most reviewers never brought this up: the fucking camera. Why is it in the living mother of hell when Nintendo took out a basic function like free roaming camera? They were able to fully adjust in all directions. It's been there since Wind Waker, and it was in the GameCube version of Twilight Princess. Why did Nintendo cut out one of the best features in those two games and frickin' Skyward Sword? Why? It would have prevented a lot of stupid deaths, I can tell you that much. It would have made it a lot easier to complete a lot of side quests. Why did they put it back to the N64 era controls? Why? Freaking Mario Galaxy had it. Mario Galaxy 2 had it. Hell, even the most recent Sonic games that came out have it. Yet Skyward Sword doesn't. And don't give me, oh, there's not enough controllers on the buttons. Are you shitting me? They could have made it so you held that C button and adjusted it with freaking the nunchuck with the joystick. There was enough buttons. There was enough buttons. The camera is one of the biggest issues of all. It made certain bosses freaking annoying as hell because of the damn freaking camera. The In Prison, for example. Most of you remember that. Oh, that horribly designed boss. That boss that everyone likes, that everyone hates to fight. Every time you do something, he's the first and final boss. Demise. Don't get me started on that fucker. Look, this guy has been the most unoriginal looking Zelda character ever. Not to mention, he looks like they crossed breed freaking Akuma from Street Fighter, Ares from God of War. They had a child, and that's freaking Demise. Really, Nintendo, you couldn't have freaking come up with something more original. You couldn't have come up with something that's more in tune with the Zelda universe. Really? Not to mention, freaking nothing in the story gets explained about Grillium or Grim. I'll just call him Grim. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't care. They don't explain what his connection to Fee is. Why is he a weapon? They don't explain anything about Fee's origins really, and Grim and how they connect with each other, and at all. Don't get me going on the origin between all the villains in the Zelda series. They don't explain jack. All it says in the ending is, "I'm going to curse your descendants." Now, this is where another problem of mine. The freaking ending. It leaves so many questions. Is there two timelines that have been caused now? Is this how the downfall timeline gets created? Is because of this? You be honest, that would make a hell of a lot of sense considering that Demise cast a curse on Link on that timeline, so maybe freaking the Link that gets born in that timeline ends up getting defeated by Ganondorf in the final battle in Ocarina of Time, which leads up to the Zelda games like Zelda 1 and Link to the Past and vice versa. But Nintendo wasn't thinking. They don't care about story. They just want to make money. Zelda games aren't even... This game, in general, wasn't even made for Zelda fans. It was made for the casual gamers whose freaking grandma or mom can play. Oh my. Oh man. I've never been this pissed about a Zelda game. Ever. Never. This is rage. It's been inside me for a long time now. And I had to force myself to complete this game. You know what? This is the first time I could say this about the Zelda series. I may never touch Skyward Sword again. Nor do I intend to. I don't care if there's a fucking hero mode. Oh, Darcenovia, you should play the hero mode. It's harder and it's more like a real Zelda game. No. Why? So I could... Will hero mode fix the motion controls? Will hero mode fix the freaking terrible level design? The freaking 70% backtracking? The boring items? No. I don't have attention. If I'm gonna play a Zelda game, I'll freaking play the ones I haven't played, like Oracle Season Ages, Link's Awakening, and revisit classics such as Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, and etc. I have no intention of touching this piece of crap again. This piece of crap can rot for all I care. It can collect dust. I don't give a shit. I have nothing more to say about this, really. I can rant on this for hours, but to be honest, I don't think I need to do an hour-long rant, because to be honest, I'm nearly done. There's a few other details I'd actually like to point out. The boss fights are not really that memorable. None of them are. There's a few boss fights like Grillium, or Grim, which I'm gonna call him. All three of his fights I actually liked. They were really cool. The music was awesome for his fights. Not to mention, I thought he was a really cool character in general. It's too bad that he could not have been the final boss instead of Akuma and Ares' freaking retarded looking love child. Yeah, not much to talk about. The soundtrack I've heard better in this franchise. Nintendo, I'm just going to conclude this. Do not ever make a Zelda game this terrible again. Take what you've learned from Skyward Sword, actually listen to the fans. Don't make another Zelda game. Don't make another gimmicky controlled mess. Just make a Zelda game where we can just use the controller and enjoy it. Just make a Zelda game where we can explore, make it feel like we're on an adventure, make it add a lot of puzzles, a lot of freaking secrets. Just make a large Zelda game. That's what we want. And if you want to add it, if you want to keep the good aspects from Skyward Sword, like the ability to upgrade items, sure, I have no problem with that. Just make it so there's more you can do with it. Make it so you don't do it for some of your items, do it for all of the items, including your sword. So, Nintendo, the next Zelda game, don't casualize it. If you're gonna make it so casual gamers can play it, add a casual mode or an easy mode so casual gamers can play it, and let us veterans of this franchise have our normal and hard mode. Do that, and me and many other Zelda fans will forgive you for Skyward shit. This is Darcenova, and God fucking speed.